You built a successful business, earned a high salary, or accumulated significant wealth through years of hard work and smart decisions. You had everything: the house, the cars, the lifestyle, the respect. But now you're facing bankruptcy, drowning in debt, watching everything you built crumble around you. You tell yourself it was bad luck, market conditions, or circumstances beyond your control. But what if I told you that your success was actually the setup for your financial destruction? Freud discovered something disturbing about successful people. The same psychological patterns that drive you to achieve wealth are often the ones that compel you to destroy it. Right now, you might be telling yourself this is just a temporary setback, that you'll bounce back because you've done it before. But this isn't about external circumstances, it's about internal psychology. Successful people don't go bankrupt despite their success. They go bankrupt because of how success changes their relationship with risk, money, and reality. Your achievements created psychological blind spots that made financial destruction almost inevitable. The confidence that built your wealth became the arrogance that destroyed it. Tell me in the comments, what sure thing investment or decision started your financial downfall? I can see from your responses that overconfidence played a role in your financial setbacks. But here's what Freud discovered about why successful people destroy wealth. Success creates a dangerous psychological state called invincibility bias, where you start believing your past wins guarantee future victories. When you've succeeded multiple times, your brain begins to attribute those successes primarily to your superior skills, intelligence, or judgment, rather than acknowledging the role of timing, luck, or favorable circumstances. This creates a feedback loop where each success increases your confidence beyond what's warranted by reality. You start taking bigger risks because you believe your track record proves you can handle them. You leverage more heavily because you're convinced you can predict outcomes. You diversify less because you think you know which investments will win. But markets, economies, and circumstances change in ways that make past success irrelevant to future outcomes. The psychological high of winning becomes addictive, and you need bigger bets to get the same satisfaction. What started as calculated risks become gambling behaviors disguised as business decisions. Your success didn't just give you money, it gave you dangerous overconfidence that convinced you the rules didn't apply to you. Your stories about invincibility bias reveal common patterns, but Freud discovered something even more disturbing about successful people and bankruptcy. You unconsciously destroy wealth because deep down, you don't believe you deserve it. This might sound impossible. Why would someone work hard to build something then sabotage it? But success often comes with psychological baggage about worthiness, especially if you came from modest backgrounds or achieved more than your family or peers. Part of your unconscious mind believes you're getting away with something, or that your success is somehow fraudulent. This creates internal pressure to return to a financial level that feels more authentic to your self-image. You might also carry guilt about having more than others, or fear that your success makes you a target for resentment, criticism, or envy. So you make increasingly risky decisions that give you plausible deniability for losing wealth. It wasn't self-sabotage, it was just business risks that didn't work out. This allows you to return to a financial position that feels more psychologically comfortable while maintaining your identity as someone who takes calculated risks. The bankruptcy isn't failure, it's unconscious success at returning to your psychological comfort zone around money. I can see from your comments that worthiness issues resonate with many of you, but here's what Freud discovered about another way success leads to financial destruction. Wealth isolation creates dangerous decision-making patterns. When you become successful, you often surround yourself with other successful people who normalize increasingly risky financial behaviors. Your peer group shifts from people who think $100,000 is life-changing money to people who consider $1 million a modest investment. This recalibrates your sense of normal risk and normal spending in ways that can be financially dangerous. You start making investment decisions based on what other wealthy people are doing, rather than on sound financial principles. You leverage your success to access investment opportunities that require larger minimums, longer commitments, or higher risk tolerance. These exclusive opportunities often carry hidden dangers that only become apparent when markets turn. Additionally, success often isolates you from people who would question your financial decisions. Your family, old friends, or advisors who might have provided reality checks are either not sophisticated enough to understand your complex financial moves, or they're afraid to challenge someone who's been so successful. This isolation removes important feedback mechanisms that could prevent catastrophic financial decisions before they destroy your wealth. Your insights about wealth isolation show growing awareness, but Freud discovered that successful people often go bankrupt because they mistake leverage for intelligence. When you're successful, you gain access to credit, loans, and investment opportunities that weren't available when you had less money. Banks want to lend to you, partners want to do deals with you, and investment firms want your business. This access feels like validation of your financial acumen, when it's really just recognition of your current wealth. You begin using other people's money to amplify your investments, buying real estate with minimal down payments, borrowing against your business or portfolio to fund new ventures, or using complex financial instruments that magnify both gains and losses. Each successful leveraged deal reinforces your belief that you can handle debt and complexity better than average people. But leverage is a double-edged sword that amplifies everything, including mistakes. When markets turn, economic conditions change, or your investments underperform, the same leverage that accelerated your wealth accumulation accelerates your wealth destruction. The speed at which successful people can lose everything often shocks them because they don't realize how much of their wealth was actually borrowed money amplifying smaller amounts of real equity. I can see from your responses that leverage played a role in many financial downfalls. But here's what Freud discovered about the psychology of lifestyle inflation in successful people. You start spending future wealth before you've actually earned it. Success creates powerful psychological pressure to live up to your new financial status through lifestyle choices that demonstrate your achievement to yourself and others. You upgrade your home, car, travel, dining, and entertainment because these visible symbols validate your success and maintain your new social position. But here's the trap. You often finance these lifestyle upgrades based on projected future income rather than current accumulated wealth. You assume your earning trajectory will continue or accelerate, so you commit to mortgage payments, lease obligations, and ongoing expenses that require sustained high income to maintain. This works fine when business is good, but it creates massive financial pressure when income drops or disappears. The lifestyle you built to celebrate your success becomes the anchor that drags you down when circumstances change. You can't quickly downsize without admitting failure, so you borrow money to maintain appearances while hoping your income recovers. This borrowing to fund lifestyle maintenance often accelerates bankruptcy because you're servicing debt for consumption rather than investment. Your stories about lifestyle inflation reveal painful recognition, but Freud discovered another crucial factor in successful people's bankruptcies. You lose the hunger and discipline that created your initial success. When you're building wealth from nothing, every dollar matters, every decision is carefully considered, and every expense is scrutinized. You track your finances closely, negotiate aggressively, and maintain lean operations because survival depends on it. But success creates comfort that gradually erodes these survival behaviors. You stop paying attention to smaller expenses because they seem insignificant relative to your wealth. You delegate financial decisions to advisors or employees without maintaining oversight because you're too busy with bigger opportunities. You become less price sensitive in negotiations because the amounts feel small compared to your net worth. This gradual relaxation of financial discipline creates thousands of small leaks that individually seem harmless but collectively drain significant wealth. By the time you notice the cumulative impact, the habits of careful money management have been replaced by habits of casual money management. The psychology that got you wealthy, careful attention to financial details, gets replaced by the psychology of wealth, casual confidence in financial outcomes. This transition often happens so gradually that you don't realize your financial foundation is eroding until it's too late to easily repair. I can see from your comments that lost financial discipline resonates with your experience. But here's what Freud discovered about the most dangerous aspect of successful people's relationship with money. You develop addiction to the emotional high of big wins, which requires increasingly risky bets to satisfy. The psychological reward of a successful business deal, profitable investment, or financial triumph creates neurochemical responses similar to gambling addiction. Your brain releases dopamine when you win, creating cravings for more victories. But like any addiction, you need bigger and bigger wins to get the same emotional satisfaction. The $10,000 profit that once excited you becomes routine, so you need $100,000 wins to feel the same rush. This escalation inevitably leads to deals and investments that are riskier than your actual financial situation can handle. You're not just investing money, you're chasing the emotional high of victory. This addiction to winning often blinds you to the actual risk-reward ratios of your decisions. You focus more on the potential emotional payoff than the potential financial loss. The irony is that the emotional rewards of success become so addictive that you risk everything you've built to continue experiencing them. You'd rather risk bankruptcy for a chance at a big win than accept modest, steady returns that don't provide the emotional rush you've become accustomed to. Your recognition of win addiction shows deep self-awareness, but Freud discovered the ultimate irony about successful people and bankruptcy. You often destroy your wealth trying to prove you're still the same person who built it originally. When your success starts to plateau or decline, when investments stop performing, or when competition increases, your ego can't accept that your golden touch might be temporary. You double down on risky strategies, make increasingly desperate moves, and refuse to accept smaller wins because that feels like admitting your peak is over. You'd rather risk everything on a chance to reclaim your former glory than accept a graceful transition to more conservative wealth preservation. This psychological need to prove yourself can lead to catastrophic financial decisions because you're making them from ego rather than logic. You're not trying to optimize financial outcomes. You're trying to validate your identity as someone who always wins big. The fear of being seen as washed up or past your prime drives you to take risks that your actual financial situation can't support. You're gambling your security for the chance to feel powerful again. And this emotional motivation often overrides rational financial planning until bankruptcy becomes inevitable. As we conclude this exploration into why successful people go bankrupt, I want you to understand something profound that Freud discovered. Wealth destruction often isn't financial failure. It's psychological success at resolving internal conflicts about money, worthiness, and identity. Your bankruptcy might feel like the worst thing that ever happened to you, but it could also be your unconscious mind's way of returning you to a psychological comfort zone where you feel more authentic, deserving, or secure. The same drive that created your wealth, the need to prove yourself, overcome challenges, and achieve significance, can also compel you to destroy that wealth when it no longer serves those psychological needs. Recovery from bankruptcy isn't just about rebuilding wealth. It's about understanding why you needed to lose it and resolving the internal conflicts that made destruction feel necessary. This means examining your beliefs about worthiness, your addiction to high-stakes emotional experiences, your relationship with risk and control, and your need for external validation through financial success. True financial recovery requires psychological recovery first. Otherwise, you'll just rebuild wealth with the same unconscious patterns that destroyed it previously, creating cycles of accumulation and destruction that continue until you address the underlying psychology driving both processes.